Now, a court has found that Floyd Brink's appointment as Johannesburg City Manager is unconstitutional, unlawful and invalid. In fact, the High Court in Johannesburg also invalidating any decisions he made since assuming office back in February. Acting Judge Stephen Budlender asking Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda to re-advertise the position as a matter of urgency. This ruling coming into effect 10 days from today to allow for the appointment of an acting city manager. Let's get you more on the story now. We're joined this morning by Johannesburg's mayoral advisor, Mlimandlela and Ndamase. It's great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on. How was he appointed when he wasn't qualified for the job?
Good morning, Michelle. And I think the big problem is that I doubt you read the judgment, because you will have realized in the judgment that, one, nowhere in the judgment does it say that all decisions that have been made by the city manager are invalidated. In fact, the court specifically says all decisions that the city manager has made in the period that he has occupied the office remain valid. And secondly, the court has not said anything about him being unqualified or not suitable for the job. It has rather stuck or limited itself to the procedural aspects of the appointment, specifically in that the report that appointed Mr. Brink was brought to council as an urgent report, and that the court believed it did not satisfy the requirements in terms of Section 64 of council procedures in terms of urgency for it to be submitted to the court. So if you had read the judgment, you'll have realized that it's very limited in its scope and in what it says with regards to the appointment. And the judge has really focused himself simply and concisely on the procedural aspects. And by the way, the city has now taken a decision to appeal that judgment, because it does believe that an appeal court may find differently on the matter, and that it is in the interest of residents of Johannesburg for us to review that particular judgment and put prayer to an upper court for a different decision.
So there's nothing in the judgment or in the requirements of the position of city manager that says you need to have 10 years of experience in senior management?
Unless you have a judgment we don't have, but the judgment we have does not pronounce itself on that matter. But also to clarify, because I would understand where your confusion comes from.
Outside of the judgment, Mr. Ndamase. Outside of the judgment,
yes, that's why I'm saying let me clarify
specs.
you, because I understand where your confusion comes from, because the DA has been making that allegation, and that's where you base your question from. It's from what the DA has been saying.
All right, apologies for that, pardon me. We seem to have lost our connection to the Johannesburg mayoral advisor, Mlimandlela. Ndamase seemed to have pushed a button on his laptop. Mr. Ndamase, are you back?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right, go ahead.
I was saying the confusion that the DA has created has been that Mr. Floyd was not suitable. But let me just assist you and assist your viewers as well. The report that was taken to council to appoint Mr. Brink as the city manager was in fact a report of a recruitment process that was conducted by the DA administration in the city. If you go to the memorandum that recommends that Mr. Floyd is the second recommended candidate for the position of city manager should the first candidate not be appointable, it is a report of a committee that was chaired by former Mayor Palazzi, in which former councillors Not and Councillor Ngobeni participated. And in their own report, it is them who accept and accede and present before signing that report that Mr. Floyd Brink has in excess of 17 years of experience that qualifies him to be appointable to the position of city manager. And by the way, I might as well remind your viewers as well that it is the very same DA administration that appointed Mr. Brink to the second highest administrative position in the city of Chief Operations Officer in 2016. So it is very disingenuous for them at this particular stage, and this is what the court has not pronounced itself on, and which is one of the reasons why the city will consider and has submitted an appeal, because the court has not pronounced itself on the substantive matters on the case, rather on the procedure, and it is something that will be appealed by the city. Right.
So the court decision is made around the procedural ways in which Floyd Brink was appointed. I mean, it also means that it's not a good look for council that the court has to advise council on procedure insofar as appointments are concerned.
Well, I would delay to say it's not a good look, because the city has taken a decision to appeal the decision. And of course, this is within its rights and for it to exercise those rights. But what is important is that the court has made a determination now, but as we all know and have experienced, court decisions can be appealed and a different court may come to a different conclusion.
Yeah. And who pays for this appeal? Because I know there was a cost order associated even with this case.
Well, all decisions and orders in the current judgment have stayed until the appeal application has been heard. So at this stage, no action coming out of that court order will or is obligated upon the parties to be acted upon until a decision on the appeal is finalized. So we'll have to wait for that decision on the appeal, and thereafter the cost or a higher court may make a determination on the costs at that particular stage.
Mlimandlela, what is the impact, in your view, of service delivery in a city that many will say is struggling under the weight of a lot of challenges, a lot of gaps in services?
In fact, that is the very issue that the city and the current executive mayor are trying to attend. Maybe let me remind your viewers, when the current administration came into power, Johannesburg neither had a city manager, it did not have a group chief financial officer, there was no chief operating officer in the city. Now, what that tells you is that the three most senior positions in the city were vacant, along with a number of other executive positions in the city. And this is the government that was presided over by the DA multi-party coalition. As we speak now, you have an appointed city manager whose appointment we are now discussing. You have an appointed chief financial officer in the city. You have an appointed COO, and your executive is to a large extent well-appointed and suitable individuals that have been appointed. The priority has been to ensure that you stabilize the city so that you can implement good governance and ensure that you are able to deliver services to the residents of the city of Johannesburg. Because what you do not want is a situation like you had previously, where your three most senior positions in the city are vacant, thus rendering the city incapable to deliver services and actually intentionally and mischievously collapsing its administrative capacity to act in the best interests of the residents of Johannesburg.
Mlimandlela, Ndamase, let me thank you for your time this morning on the AM Report. Certainly an important story we're tracking in what is meant to be the city of gold, right? The world-class African city is what Joburg was touted as some years ago.